Hey world, hey YouTube land, how's it going? I just want to talk about some interactions, or, well, not really interactions at all, really, I've had on Twitter over the last few days and last few years, really, with Manic Street Preachers fans. Who are the Manic Street Preachers? They're a band who began in the early 1990s, released this fantastic album, The Holy Bible, which caused the disappearance of this man here, Richey Edwards, who was their main lyricist. He wasn't really a musical force in the band. He could barely play the guitar. He certainly couldn't sing. But after this album was released, Richey disappeared, and the band had to completely reinvent itself, which it did with this album here, with the perfect title, Everything Must Go. This album's all about survival, optimism, looking forward into the future, whilst this album here is all about culture, alienation, boredom and despair, looking at the world around you, feeling terrible about the world, feeling terrible about yourself, hence the front cover there, the obese lady, and just saying, fuck it, this place is horrible, everything's too depressing to take, I'm going to quite literally jump off a bridge. The old Manic Street Preachers then, the Richey Manic Street Preachers, young men coming from the university system of the UK, massively indoctrinated into the left, into cultural Marxism. That's where all the self-hate came from. That's where all the questioning of Western civilization came from, the questioning of masculinity. So if you look at the first three Manic Street Preachers albums, it's very feminized. There's a song called Little Baby Nothing, which is feeling sorry about a porn star. There's lots of real hardcore hating of the West. Everything that the West has done is bad. Everything that America has done is bad. One of the songs on here is called If White America Told the Truth One Day, Its World Would Fall Apart. So it's this hatred of the white race as well. There's this viewing of women as victims, walking abortion, she is suffering. This is yesterday, so it's looking back to the past, the intense humming of evil. It's all about the Holocaust, feeling terrible about being a white man in the West, dying in the summertime, Revolt, which is all about revolutions failing, archives of pain, again to do with the Holocaust. So it's pure white guilt in the form of a musical album. And hatred of masculinity and hatred of the white race, which obviously reverberates, rebounds onto yourself, and it just ends up with you hating yourself. There he is there, Richey Edwards, cut for real into his arm. Really hated himself, intensely hated himself, because of the indoctrination which he received from his university system. He was a smart guy. I think he just missed out on getting a first at university. He got 2-1, probably because he started drinking too much already at that early stage in his life. Drinking because of self-hatred. His entire life then, really, Richey Edwards' entire life, is a warning lesson, really, of what happens to you if you believe in the poison which comes from the cultural Marxist left. And I don't understand sometimes when I look at what the Manic Street Preachers fans in 2017 are talking about on Twitter, why they're still aligned to the left. Because the left is what completely destroyed their icon, Richey Edwards. They turned him into a self-hating mess of a man. And it's this personal and political alignment to the left, which, well, the main guy in Manic Street Preachers today, the main guy who wrote the lyrics, this guy here, Nicky Wire, is starting to understand the deception of the left. In the last Manic Street Preachers album, he released a song called, it was something like The Last Jet to Leave Moscow. And it was all about looking at himself in the mirror and seeing that my entire life has been a life of hypocrisy, that I've talked about socialism, Marxism, and hating masculinity in the West and whatnot. But everything I've actually done, everything I've got today, my big house, and I think he likes vacuuming. That's his thing. He likes hoovering. So everything that he's got today, he's actually built on the free market. So the complete opposite to what he's been putting into his lyrics and his albums, and he's starting to recognise perhaps the cultural Marxist indoctrination, which is really starting to fuck up his society. And one of the songs he's actually talking about the nihilism as well, and how this loss of religion is starting to impact the people and really leaving them prey to the vultures of the left. But yeah, when I go onto Twitter, I see the Manic Street Preachers fans saying, "We love books, we love being intellectual, we're so smart, we're so clever," but there's no recognition that this disease of cultural Marxism has really destroyed Western society in large parts, and it's especially young men. And that their very own icon in the band Manic Street Preachers was the living example of what happens when you really take in the pure poison from the left, and it starts to really rot you from within. Richey was anorexic, he was alcoholic, he had all these neurosis, these feminized neurosis, which came from being intelligent and being subjected to this wave of leftist bullshit. I mean, one of his songs was about that big icon of the left, Chomsky. That was, he's always reading Chomsky all the time, and just this Jewish intellectualism, which is all about just hating yourself and feeling bad about yourself. There's no light there, and if you take all that in, especially as a man, it's going to have really negative impacts on your life. I just don't understand why the Manic Street Preachers fans can't see that. They can't see how in the political sphere, that's the communism and the Marxism bullshit has been tried over and over again, and always leads to terrible situations. That the only way for true freedom is to embrace the free market, and I don't understand why they take it on a personal level as well, which just diminishes masculinity, turns all females into victims, and just plays into the identity politics stuff, which is really starting to ramp up in the Western world today. So if you are a Manic Street Preachers fan, are you starting to see what the left is all about, or are you still wedded to the old school idea that the left can create utopia on Earth, and that you should feel terrible about being a man because you are a potential rapist, and that you should feel terrible about being white because the Holocaust? No, please, give me something here. Give me some sort of impression that you've looked at the life of Richey Edwards and you're starting to see that this isn't the life that we need to live. We need to get away from white guilt, get away from the left, and embrace the free market, as the Manic Street Preachers have done throughout their entire career, because they're in a free market, away from feeling bad about things that you haven't even done, feeling guilty about things that you have no responsibility for whatsoever. There's the freedom. There's the freedom. The freedom is in the free market, away from the ideological poison of the left, which killed Richey Edwards, and which I think is having a lasting, damaging impact on a lot of its fans, the fans of the Manic Street Preachers in the past, and the fans that are still listening to the band today. So there we go. Did that make sense? Please let me know in the comments down below. I still love the Manic Street Preachers, and after listening to the last album, I think there's real hope there that Nicky Wire, the man who writes the lyrics today, is starting to look back at his Marxist past and starting to understand just how truly evil and poisonous it all has been, and perhaps the next Manic Street Preachers album will be a real awakening call for the fans of the band, and really, because this is what Nicky Wire needs to do. He really needs to make things very, very clear that the lies of the past have to go, and that joining the Labour Party with Jeremy Corbyn and his Leninist bullshit, that has to go now. We have to embrace the free market. We have to stop feeling guilty about ourselves as straight white men, and we have to start getting away from the collectivized big state socialist ideology of the past, and start to build something new, rather than holding on to dusty old dinosaurs which have been tried over and over again and never ever work. Yeah, thanks for checking me out, and comments down below. I'll see you all later. Goodbye.